Hello everyone, and welcome back to Ushanka Show, the channel where you can always learn something new about life in the Soviet Union. I'm your host, Sergei Sputnikov, and back in 1971, I was born in the USSR. So recently, I posted this photo on the Ushanka Show community page, and by the way, I'm not sure how many of you guys getting notifications about my new posts, but anyways, I posted this photo, and I titled it, "I've got big head and I cannot lie." After reading comments on this photo, I realized that this picture actually deserves more detailed investigation, and that's what we're going to do today. It appears that photo was taken sometimes in the late 70s, I assume, based on the design of the pants that the guys are wearing. The photo was taken in the winter, duh, we see the snow, and it looks like it was very cold that day because everyone except the guy with the camera, they keep their hands in their pockets. Someone asked about those two items in the top left corner that looks like cooking pots. I believe those are spotlights. So it appears to me that's a church in the background, white walls, and the spotlights to lit it at night. And of course, the main reason why I posted this photo is that massive hat that one of the guys had. And it's so massive for the reason, for many people, a large, expensive fur hat was like a symbol status. In this case, this is so-called Pyzhikovaya shapka, and I had to look it up. I knew the name for years, but I never knew what Pyzhik is, and apparently that's the fur of baby fawn. So baby deer, fawn, their fur is the most expensive and desirable, and that's what the guy says, Pyzhikovaya shapka. So this cool comrade has about 100 to 150 rubles at top of his head, so that's the average monthly salary in the Soviet Union, so he's definitely look really cool. Not. And while we're on the topic of the Pyzhikovaya shapka, this is a fine example of massive use of cool, expensive Pyzhik hats. This photo was taken during the Winter Olympics. I don't remember which year, but this is the Soviet team, and everyone is wearing exactly the same Pyzhik hat. I also noticed the guy on the far right, mostly because of his cool camera. It's probably Zenit film camera, and because of his glasses. That poor bastard also has so-called birth control glasses, BSGs, ugly plastic frame with thick lenses. And his hat doesn't look cool at all. And just for the reference, there's Comrade Sergei back in his days wearing exactly the same ugly plastic frames, birth control glasses. Going back to our photo, so there are actually three focal points on this photo. So the massive head on the dude's head, cute girl, let's name her Natasha, and the bag that she is holding. Quite possible that Natasha worked at the library and she was the girl that inspired Michael Jackson to write his famous song, Librarian Girl. Librarian girl, she's holding a bag in her hands, and it's so cool. What Natasha is holding in her hands is a plastic bag advertising Lord Extra cigarettes from Germany. And that's actually the main topic of this video. We're going to talk about bags that were popular in the end of 70s and through the 80s, early 90s, that people in the Soviet Union thought were so cool and paid quite a bit of money to have one of those. In any socialist society, and the Soviet Union was an exception, 99% of the population were full-time pedestrians, so bags were always an important tool of trade and tool of life. The older generation preferred the net bags, so-called setki or avoski, which is kind of an interesting term. Avoska came from avos, so that's a maybe. Maybe I'll see something for sale and I'll grab it. So as you see these pictures, they could fit a lot of stuff, including bread, bottles with milk, or other items. Avoska. Avoska. Meanwhile, the younger generation, so-called Generation P, Generation Pepsi Cola, preferred cool-looking bags with the Western images. And Comrade Sergei wasn't the exception. I also liked Pepsi, and I also preferred to have this cool-looking Western bags. Mine was actually Marlboro. These bags, they're brought in, or should I say smuggled in the country by the sailors and sold and resold several times. So people at the ports will purchase them wholesale from the sailors for about 1 ruble per bag, and then resell them in their towns for 3 rubles per bag. I'm not sure why, but the bags advertising foreign cigarette brands were the most popular. Maybe they were available for free at the duty-free shops overseas, or maybe they were cheaper than any other bags because cigarette companies sponsor them. If you watched my video about the most popular brands of the jeans in the Soviet Union, I'll provide link below in the comment section. We also had bags that were advertised in this interesting brand from Germany called Montana. 3 rubles for a plastic bag like that doesn't sound like much, but we're approaching to the price points of a bottle of vodka, so talking in American dollars, that's close to $10-15 per silly plastic bag. As I mentioned earlier, my bag was Marlboro, and I bought it with my own money when I got into college. Because I was a good student, I was getting a 50 ruble a month stipend, and one of my first purchases was Marlboro bag, although I'd never smoked. And I liked it a lot. I took it to college, put my notepads in there, my pens, and that's what I used to carry my student papers. And of course, this bag was way too precious to load it up with a couple kilograms of potatoes or onions, so that was only for clean items, nothing like vegetables or fruits. And I was extremely upset when I discovered one day that my bag was ripped really bad. It actually looked like it was sliced with a sharp knife, and at first I thought I snagged on something, and then I realized there was a pocket picker on the tram that thought maybe I have my wallet in the bag. So while I was riding home, he carefully cut it with his blade and checked my bag to see if I have money in there. So these bags were a cool accessory for either boys or girls. Of course, it wasn't to the level like it's some like Prada bag, but if you self-respecting young man or woman, that's the bag you'll carry around. Okay, my friends, it's all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed the video and maybe learned something new. As always, don't forget to like it, share with your friends, and we'll talk to you soon. До свидания. Goodbye.
Sergey wrote a book based on diaries he made when he was first in the United States. And as I understand, this is just volume 1, right?
That's correct.
He's going to have multiple volumes coming out. Well, I said, well, since Sergey is kind enough to come up and speak with us, I bought the book. I said, I might as well read this. I read this in one sitting, 2 hours, 2.5 hours. I just couldn't put it down. It was so fascinating because your writing is very compelling, for one. And his story is very interesting for two. It's very interesting. We've lived here our whole lives. We don't have that perspective. It's just so interesting to hear someone else's perspective about what we take for granted. So I hope you really tune in and listen to what he has to say. It's a very interesting, very informed perspective. Sergey is not a historian. He's an electrical engineer by trade, but I find that he has a depth of understanding on history, economics, culture. So just a very observant fellow and a great storyteller. So like